We record ready.
All right, recording's on. So first off, I wanted to know, could you explain the process to creating a podcast?
Okay. So for me, my podcast, it's really just about starting. It's really not no like professional, super extra fancy way to do it. I would say that when it comes to any brand, you should always have an idea of like what your brand image is, what that looks like who you want to target. What did you go to school for? Or what are you going to school for?
Oh, I'm going to Columbia College Chicago, majoring in radio with a concentration in voiceover.
Mm. So are y'all learning about like marketing and advertising and stuff?
I'm learning this from my self-management and freelance course. His name is Jaime Black, and he already has his own nice broadcast that's been 15 years in the running in Chicago. He's been teaching us to find mentors, learn from people, have different sources of revenue and income. And that's why I reached out to T asking for any connections, speak with anyone she knows. I've been reaching out to people throughout Handshake, LinkedIn. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so happy you agreed to speak with me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, if you are learning about like marketing and advertising in your courses, you probably have learned about like just the power of what the story is. And so when it comes to anything that you start, whether that's a podcast, a business, um, a book, I don't know, like you should always like have that like that theme or that brand image, that brand mission. Like mine, for instance, is like the tagline is the millennial hustle. So we talk about everything that we are going through personally and professionally as young Black professionals in like the pop culture space. And so that comes with like starting your own business. That comes with being a little more conscious and being a little more go-getting than your parents or your grandparents. And it comes with like social media being a dominant force in our thoughts and like how we maneuver through life without letting that get to us. And so the mission statement is just keep misbehaving, don't believe the hype, because like it's so much hype around us and we could easily fall into the trap of thinking that we're not pretty enough, thinking that we are not like successful enough. But in actuality, like everybody's trying to make it to wherever they're trying to make it. So I say the start of trying to do a podcast is definitely in creating the brand image. Like who do you want to talk to? Our target audience are young Black professional millennials. You may want to talk to cooks. You may want to talk to interior designers. You may want to talk to kids. You may want to talk to people that like scary stories, but it needs to be specific. And I'm almost positive, like even if you haven't taken the course yet, like you'll learn about target audience, target demographic. And I think it starts there. Once you know who you want to talk to, then you want to start figuring out your aesthetic. Like what does it look like? What do those people in that demographic enjoy? Like all the way down to the colors that they like. Like, are they more interested in money? Are they more interested in toys? Like, and taking those images and applying it to the look of your brand. So let's just say you want to talk about millennials and having money. Like, okay, well, maybe your colors need to be like a dark green, maybe, what is the color of the millennial? Like, stuff like that's on Google. You can Google like the correlations of colors and like what they represent. So I would definitely say starting there first before you even go and start recording, because the recording is easy. Like you have apps called Anchor, like we use Anchor, and you could just record in your phone and post it and it goes everywhere. So it's like that part's not hard. The hard part is getting listeners and targeting them and relating to them and just making sure that you're keeping up with whatever you trying to teach them or talk to them about. So yeah, did I answer your question?
Oh, that and plenty. You just answered 2 or 3 of my questions. I really appreciate.
Okay.
Man, you're so knowledgeable, and I love reaching people.
Oh,
One of the things that I've learned was don't listen to people who aren't successful in what you're trying to do when they have
mhm,
input on what you're trying to do. Like the
exactly.
business that I brought T involved in, I would love to speak with you about that later some other time. But one of the
Yeah.
biggest things that I learned about was peer pressure doesn't just happen amongst people your age, or that pressure
Mhm.
to gravitate towards the things that they do doesn't just happen at your age. Most of the
Yeah.
people that I met, like you guys, I'm only 19. I just turned 19 last month and
Oh,
just
happy
graduated from
belated.
high school. I'm already trying. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
No, I said happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet. But it took a while for me to finally realize that the people that I was putting my time in, they're not going down the same path as me, nor were our paths even intertwined with what they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Also, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I want to start a podcast, because I want to reach out to young people, particularly teens and young adults who are just lacking the knowledge to thrive in what they want to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And not just lacking in knowledge, but just lacking in support. They don't have I don't have my family support with everything I don't have most of my family support in anything that I'm doing right now. They're
Yeah.
against me moving. They were against me leaving my parents' house. They were against me going to this school because of how expensive it is, even though I only had to pay $1,700 out of pocket for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any debt.
Yeah.
And instead of acknowledging the things that I'm doing, they just want to beat me down. They just want to say, hey, this is how life has always been. And people need to understand that it's times are changing. Times are
Yeah.
not like they were a few decades ago when my
Mm-mm.
parents and grandparents were younger.
Yeah. That's the part right there, like,
Exactly.
and that's the difference between like my generation and I feel like yours or somebody in Gen Z is it's like Gen Z has a sense of like they have everything accessible. So you are beyond your years because a lot of people in your generation have everything accessible. So there sometimes it comes a sense of entitlement, or they think that things are supposed to go how they see it going for everybody else. But my generation, we grew up with technology because the technology is like the main ingredient in this. But we grew up with technology, so we understand that the reality of that is not perfect. It's not real. It's not, you have some people in older than shit me that are like, oh my God, like I need to get my life together. But I'm talking about the majority, like the programming and how like the brain works on like how we were raised. We understand there's 50 sides to technology, whereas people that may have been born into it, they don't. They just like they think that that is like what's really happening. Like they kind of have a disattachment from what's really happening around them. So the stuff that other people say is like it's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. That's it's like, but it's you see this, but you don't see what somebody got going on behind their pictures on their Instagram. So how is it unbelievable? Or even like just youth in general. I find myself, and I don't know if T has, but like I'm now the grown up that be like, back in my time, X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, that's crazy because that shit. Oh, excuse me, that never changes. Like that's something that never changes. So I think that not only we are changing. Like I seen a post yesterday that it had like a lady in like a 19. That wasn't even 20. So I'm gonna say like 1800s outfit, and then it was somebody like in a like a swimsuit cover up like thing where her booty was out a little bit in Walmart, and they was like, we done came a long way from this. These women don't know how to be classy. So not to go into like the narcissism of that. That was my alarm. Sorry, not to go into the narcissism of that, but I was like, y'all, we would not look right walking around in the 1800s dress. Like, this is 2020. Give it up. Like, we are in a whole new time. We have a whole new dress code. We have a, like, we like different things. We can do different things. They couldn't do this. So if a woman, I mean, granted, there's a value thing there, and there's like a, you know, well, what is she saying, or what is she trying to put off? But none of that matters, because that's her business. The point is, we have the freedom to do it. So, like, maybe you're not living your life enough. You know, maybe you need to put on the swimsuit and walk outside, because the point is, we have the freedom to do those things, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's called minding your business, and like letting people live their life, and like letting people do what they want. We're not in, you know, 1970s anymore. Like, granted, a lot of these, you know, different races have other opinions, but all I can say is, if you live your life the way you want to live your life, and you teaching your kids the things that they need to be taught, everything else does not matter. Like, that's where that's where people get confused, you know? Like, it don't matter, honey. Like, we are here for a short time. We're here for a good time, not a long time, in the words of Drake. And it's like, so make the best of it. If you want to walk outside with your swimsuit on and it's 40 degrees outside, do it. That ain't my business. Like, and that's kind of what my brand represents, is misbehaving. Like, break the standard, honey. Like, do what you want to do, because it's not like, who's to tell you cannot, you know? Especially nowadays, when people are getting rich and famous off of being themselves and doing what they want to. It may be crazy, but who ain't gotta look crazy? Like, who ain't crazy when they get comfortable? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you at home and you jamming and you like, people are getting paid for that, because they're being themselves. They're being authentic, and that's why they're famous and rich, because people relate. The people who don't, they still at home looking silly. So this did not answer any questions, but it's just like the soul. It's just the point. Like, I'm maybe because I'm tired of it. Like, I'm just tired. Like, it's just the duality is just sickening. Like, it ain't no duality, honey. It ain't no good or bad. It's to do what you want to do. That's it. So,
I completely
yeah.
understand, and I can definitely relate. I grew up very conservative, and I see nothing wrong with that. But compared to other people, I was raised by, growing up being told that I'm different by everyone in my grade, by everyone I meet. I was always kind of the outcast, even though I didn't know why. I didn't understand why everyone felt the need to be like the other person that they see,
Mm,
or and not show any individuality. And
yeah.
now that I graduated from high school, I've just been finding like more and more people are willing to listen to me compared
Yeah.
to how I grew up. People actually care about my story.
Yeah. It's called a change of environment. Like, when you're out of the bubble or you're out of your circle, you experience life. That's why life is all about experiences, because you become more knowledgeable, you become more free, you become more like outgoing, because you're constantly introducing yourself to stuff that's changing your perspective. And like, it's called, I called it like a colorful life. Like, I want a colorful life. I'm not, and this is just my advice to you, even going into radio. Like, don't let that be the only thing that you want to do. Like, you know, I wanted to do that, I did it, and now I'm not doing it anymore, and I'm okay with that. Like, I want different chapters. I want to be able to tell my kids, like, oh, mommy was a radio personality, mommy was a, you know, mommy worked in technology, mommy was an astronaut, like, mommy was a art teacher. Like, I have other things that I want to do in my life that have nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. You know what I'm saying? And I know that I'm going to do them because that's what I want. You know, like, why would I? Just because I have a great job right now does not mean that I need to stay there because it's great. Like, there's other great things that I want to do. So it's just a chapter. Like, you wanna have a colorful life. You wanna have a chapter. You wanna have a book. You know, you wanna be able to have different experiences and meet new people. And like, it's like eras. You know, like, I have so many eras of me already, and this is just a whole new one. You know, so I would definitely advise you to um enjoy radio, do radio, but if you wanted to do something else, like don't be afraid to do that too. Like,
All right. So what else do you do in your career besides radio?
So right now I'm working in IT. So I was in radio for 5 years. And now I'm in technology. So like the last 2 years, I was working on getting into technology because I always loved like graphic design and like creating websites and stuff. Radio was really easy for me because I have a personality. It was nothing that I was like, oh, I want to do that. Like it was something that I just did because I was good at it, but and it was fun, but when it comes to like what I like to do, I'm an artist, like of all realms. Like I do hair and makeup, I like to paint, I like to design, like I like to create stuff. So I've always loved creating stuff digitally, and I never really gave myself the opportunity to explore that. And then the last 2 years I was, just on my doing my research, like what can I do that will make me some money, that won't go anywhere, that is really going to set me up in a place that is like where I'm not fending for myself, where I'm not like trying to hustle. Cause I'm like, I'm coming up on 30. I just want to like have fun in my 30s. I want to have some money and have fun in my 30s. And I'm like, doing this little hustle here is like not fun. Like I want my own apartment. Like it was at the point where I didn't have enough money to have my own place, like, stuff like that. And so anyway, on my research and coding, like there were a lot of coding boot camps. Like it's a lot of free like boot camps and like certifications that you can do right now because Black people in tech are wanted. And so when I did my research, I started like realizing how not how much technology is like real, but just like how we are needed in those spaces. Most of the time, a lot of these companies, when we be doing these hashtags because they done messed up, most of the time it's something to do with technology, and it's because a Black person is not in the room. And I was tired of being the person talking about other people doing stuff, if that makes sense. I wanted to be the person doing stuff, And so I'm like, I need to switch it up, and it's lucrative. So boom, I started coding. And coding and building websites or whatever. And that's a little more logical. It's not colorful like how I like. I'm like, okay, well now I know how to build a website, which is a good skill to have, but I want to be able to create it. I want to design it. And so I went on to do user experience. So user experience, also known as like UX or like human-centered design. It is the design of basically how a user is interacting with a product. So it could be a car, it could be Zoom, it could be Instagram, it could be Facebook. Those are the things that literally make you buy, make you scroll, because it's so the psychological part of it. Like you, for instance, okay, we on Zoom. What would make you, how do you know that the little speaker icon is volume? You know what I'm saying? It's because you don't have to think about it. Like, where's volume? Like, that that's volume. So it's like the psychological behind creating these applications or these products, whether it's, like I said, a car, to help people navigate through it easier, faster. You may walk in the store and you like, okay, I want to get some peanut butter. Like, to look at the signs at the top of the aisle that says peanut butter, like things that make stuff easier for people to navigate. And I love helping people and I love design. So I was like, oh shit, this is perfect. I knew nothing about UX until I started coding. And I was like, okay, boom, that's it. So I got excited because I'm like, oh my God, like I think I found what I want to do. Because it was a minute. I was like, oh my God, I hate coding. Is this too logical for me? Like I'm too cool for this. Like I'm like, oh my God, like I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. And I found UX and the light bulb went off and I just started like really diving deep into books. Like I bought books. I'm a real self-starter. So I bought books. I researched like programs that I could do, that I could learn stuff from, like how people are getting jobs without degrees. Cause I don't have a bachelor's. Cause I went into radio right after I got my associates at Flow, and I didn't need a degree. I was already in my career. Like it didn't matter. I knew I wanted to go back, but I was like, I don't want to get into debt. And I'm still like, I don't want to get into debt unless I have to. So I was trying to find every single thing that I could that was free that would get me into a job. And so I got into another boot camp earlier this year. I was doing that. I was doing UX in this one. I wasn't doing any coding. And so when I started learning more about it hands-on, I was like, oh, snaps, this is it. This is me right here. I was so excited. And so I put my all into it. I networked. I used my, radio skills or what have you to really get to know people and talk to people and kind of be like the person that they would think of. And that kind of happened. I ended up getting laid off in radio in like April, March, April, which was fine because I was already on a 2-year head start trying to find another job in technology. And I was trying to get out of radio. I've been trying to get out of radio for like a year. Nobody really knew, but I've been trying to get up out of there for like a year because like my chapter was closed, right? Like that was the era. It kind of died down for me. And I got laid off in like March, April. I had an interview with the company I'm with now, which is for UX, user experience. And it was through the program that I went through, which is free. Shout out to Launch Code. I don't know if you heard of Launch Code. But went through that, had an interview, got laid off the next week, got the job like 2 weeks later. And true manifestation, because I actually did not get the job at first. Because something, girl, they was like, oh, you're the runner up. If something happens, if somebody's background check doesn't go through, like they're going to put you through. And in my mind, I'm like, I still got the job, period. Because I've been working hard. I've been doing everything on my own. I didn't pay no money for nothing. Like I've been wanting this. I don't care what they talk about. This is my job. Power of manifestation. They called me like the next week and was like, oh, somebody's background check didn't go through. You're in. And I'm like, and it was like the rest is history. They took me through a training to just kind of certify me even more. So I was able to get free certifications for the job that I do now. Girl, and changed my life, like 6 figures, like without a degree. It's a diverse company. It is like, it's just one of those moments where you be like, damn, like I really worked hard for this and I'm doing it. And you can't really say it's crazy because it's not. You put the work in. It's just kind of like one of those, what I was telling you earlier, like giving back and like letting people know that it's possible, but you cannot do it. You cannot sit on your ass. Like in order to manifest something, you have to really want it. And if you really want something, you're going to do everything you can to get it. So that means investing in yourself, enrolling in some courses online, buying books, going to the library, or going to meetups on Eventbrite or whatever the hell, like that. You have to put it out there. You have to actively do it for it to come to you. It ain't just gonna come to you if you at home like watching TV. Like that's not gonna work. So my current job title is a Scrum Master, and I work with developers on websites. Basically, we build websites, and I'm kind of the person that they do the coding, and I'm the person who kind of helps facilitate what needs to be done. But I'm not a manager, if that makes sense. So you have to Google Scrum Master because it's like, what the hell is a Scrum Master? But that's what my title is. And when you Google it, you'll be like, oh, okay, I see what she's saying. But yeah, and now I'm like in a way better position, like times 1,000. I'm able to do what I want to do. I'm working from home. I have a laptop. I can travel. Yeah, and like being in radio definitely helped me get here because it built my soft skills. And in my research, when I was doing a lot of learning, soft skills are way more important than hard. So you can maybe crack open that mic. You could probably pull up the volume on the board. But if you don't know how to talk to people, you don't know how to relate to people, you don't know how to relax and be yourself, you don't know how to look at the details and what you're reading when you're telling people some information that's important. If you aren't a self-starter and you like, okay, well, the election happening, but ain't nobody telling me to talk about it, like, but this is important for people, you're not gonna get the job. Like, because the soft skills are important. People can teach you how to run the board. People can teach you how to turn the mic on, but you don't know. Like my old manager, he was like, it's like a basketball team. A lot of people make the team, but like half of them don't start. So it's like, who has the talent on the team to do the job? You know what I'm saying? Like, you may be in the building, but are you LeBron? Or are you, I don't even know, right? I don't know nothing about basketball, but whatever the other people's name is that ain't in the game, like, you can't be mad that you're not in the game. You just gotta get your weight up. You on the team, like, if you want to get in the game, you gotta do what you need to do. So bars.
Drop the mic, Jay. Okay.
Period. So yeah, but that's what I'm doing now, and I love it. And even for you, like, when you're coming out of radio or when you go into radio, think about the things you can apply in a technological sense, because that's what's going to get you some money. So being on air is totally different than running digital stuff, and which is a prime part of your job, like posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook, getting those views, knowing what people want to hear about online. They don't have a choice when they're in the car. Like, they can turn you off. You don't know. But like, the numbers don't lie when you're on Facebook and you have 2 viewers, you know what I'm saying, versus 5,000. Like, are you able to really apply your skills in a digital space? Because that's what it is. You don't probably listen to the radio in the car. You probably listen to Spotify. But it's because of how Spotify has used the stuff that they have, which is music, to make you want to listen. It may be the curated lists. It may be because artists exclusively drop on there. It may be because of how the app looks. Like, that's me, for instance. I don't listen to Pandora or like Tidal or iHeart, even though Tidal Black on. I want to do Tidal. But it is the functionality of Spotify of why I'm there. They make it easy for me. They make it easy for me to get in my little $10. Like, they make it easy for me to like a song. Like, how are you going to apply your skills in a digital space? And that's what's going to set you apart. Even right now, like, I look at the radio station and I'm like, ain't nobody posted on their Instagram in so long. I'm like,
ghost town.
Like, it's a ghost town. It's no content on there. It's nothing interesting on there that, like, they're not doing what they need to do to get listeners. Like, it's not just about opening up the mic. It's about keeping people engaged, So yeah, I would think about that as you go into your radio career, about marketing and advertising and digital stuff, because that's what's going to pay the bills at some point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Did I
ladies.
answer everything?
Did you answer? Did she answer everything, Nicole?
Oh my gosh! When was the moment you knew that you made your first breakthrough?
Like, with radio, or just in general?
Just in general.
I think, like, the one I was just talking about, getting the job with technology, that was definitely a breakthrough. Like, when they called me with the offer, I was like, oh my God, I fucking did this. Like, I don't have a degree. They paying me white man money. I'm like, oh my God, like, I did this, period. Girl, I went out and bought 2 bottles of Moet. I was like, I'm gonna get the money back.
Bougie.
Girl, I was gonna buy a bottle of Ace of Spades.
Bullshit!
I was gonna buy a bottle of Ace of Spades. Like, baby, look.
We do not give our minors alcohol.
Oh, right. I forgot. This is true. So that was the last breakthrough. But when in my radio career, I went from being a board operator, which is somebody who does not go on air. They kind of like function the buttons and stuff, to being a midday talent in like 2 or 3 months, like 4, maybe 4 at the maximum. And in that industry, there's a lot of jealousy, envy. Everybody want to be the star. Like I said, everybody ain't LeBron, baby. You just gotta wait your turn. But it's like I knew, like, okay, yeah, like this, I'm lit, because I like I said, I didn't have to do much because I was being myself. Like, I didn't have to work hella hard. I didn't have to, kiss nobody, you know what I'm saying? Like, which is a thing in the industry. Like, I didn't have to do anything that I didn't want to do to be where I was. And so once I was in middays, and I started like making better money because advertisers were requesting me, that's when I knew, like, oh yeah, it's lit. Like, honey, I'm in my bag, because like I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I'm on digital. I have a brand presence. I have an aesthetic. And then from there I went into afternoons, which I was doing the last 2 years I was there. And afternoons is prime time. So it's 2 to 7. So it's prime time. And yeah, I was like, okay, well, there's nothing else for me to do here. besides like move to another market. And that's kind of when I was like, it was either that or just finding another career path. And I was like, well, I'll just do something else, and then maybe I'll do radio like on the weekends or something somewhere else, because radio. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. So in a radio setting, who's all in your editing team?
It just depends. There is no editing team. You are the editor. You're the editor. You're the poster. You're the writer. You're the photographer. You're the videographer. One of my college professors is called a mobile journalist. Like, that's what I'm saying. If you don't learn those skills, it's like, how valuable are you? You need to be able to do all of that, and you need to be able to create content and do all of that, because we didn't have the editing team. We had a digital online editor it was turnover. So we had one like maybe twice, maybe 3 times or twice when I was there. But the last one was out of town. So it's like, what can they do when we have big concerts? They can't come take pictures from Dallas. Like, so, it's self-starting and knowing how to do all of those things to set yourself apart. Because trust me, it's a lot of people who don't know how and can't. So why not be the person who know how and look better? Like, I'm 1,000 steps ahead of y'all just because I'm putting in the effort to put together something. Mm-hmm. While you just saying, I don't know how to do that, so I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna post it. Or I need to find, I'm a pay somebody $200 to take this video with me. Like, girl, if you don't set up this damn phone and and put iMovie on your phone and get the cutting, it's not hard.
That's exactly what I need to hear.
Yes.
It ain't hard.
No, it's not hard. And
initiative.
It's initiative. And the thing is, there's so many tools now that you barely have to do anything. Don't think too hard about it. Like, even with podcasting, like I said, it's an app. You literally record in it, you post it. Like, you don't have to get all these mics and these boards and all this stuff to, girl.
Don't believe the hype.
Literally, don't believe the hype. Like, there's so many tools that can help you do what you need to do, and it'll look effortless. It'll sound effortless. And really less is more. Like, I got a YouTube channel too, and I record on my phone. I pop the video in iMovie and I cut it. Like, I just cut out the parts that are irrelevant, or I cut out the parts where I messed up or whatever, and I post it. And it looks like quality. I'm not doing all of these like words on the screen or like transitions. I'm not doing all of that, because if the content that I'm putting out there is valuable, somebody's gonna watch it. I don't need all of that to make the point that I'm making. So if I'm talking about radio, or if we were doing a YouTube video right now, I could have cut the parts where I cursed or whatever. And because this conversation is valuable, people are gonna watch it. They don't care about this green background, girl. The only thing they're worried about is the sound quality and maybe the video quality. That's about it, girl. Don't nobody care about all the other stuff. It may be funny, but yeah, just it's all about initiative and just starting. I'm sure you got all the tools in your dorm to do all the stuff you need to do to post a nice video or post a podcast episode. For real.
Thank you. I really appreciate you, Janella. And thank you
You're
so
so
much, Chi,
welcome.
for connecting me with her.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Any other questions?
First person
girl?
that came to mind.
Good.
Great person that
glad,
came to mind.
I'm glad you thought of me.
Yes, it was you or Peter Dorsey, so I picked the woman. Go
Oh, right.
women.
Period. Is
Yes.
there anything else that you had? I mean, or if you forget something, you could definitely like email me. Did you write me on Instagram?
Was that the message? Were you the person who just said, "Hey girl," when I sent you this paragraph?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll send you my email through there, and then if you like think of something, just email me.
Yeah, there's just one other thing. I just want to know, who were your mentors through everything since you started radio?
My first mentor was my college professor that I was saying said Mojo. Her name is Renee Thomas Woods. She did PR, and she always like, she's just the sugar honey iced tea. Like, she's very professional and like traditional journalist. So she helps me understand the real professional side of like a brand presence, and let's just say verbiage and people's about, or their bios, like stuff like that I look at and I be like, Lord, they didn't put an S on this word and didn't need no S. Like, you need people around who know how to make a brand, like how to make a timeless brand. I'm gonna say that. Like, you got people who have brands who are only gonna last because it's a trend, and then you have people who legit have put in effort into knowing that simplicity is more. And if they want real life investors and they want real life people to like put some capital in their business, like they know that like logos ain't gotta have your face on it. Logos ain't gotta have all these cursive words and all of this and that. Logo, every hair brand ain't gotta have glitter or scissors or like queen this. Like, that is only for the moment. Like, if it is X, Y, and Z hair and it's simple, that's gonna last longer. Because what if 10 years from now, everybody in the world's natural? Like, how are you gonna sell your product and you got weave and you talking about queen and you talking about lace fronts? Like, make it versatile, but make it simple. Really simple is versatile. Like, you don't have to think too hard. Anyway, Renee Thomas Woods, she taught me a lot when it comes to the professionalism of like building a brand. And then when I got into radio, I was fortunate enough to have my program director, who was like technically like the manager of like the personalities. He was a big mentor to me, and we still are like this. I say I'm fortunate because the industry is very wishy-washy, and good people who care come a dime a dozen. Good people who see your talent that actually like encourage you with your talent come a dime a dozen. A lot of people get jealous. They don't want to see you grow. They ain't gonna let you grow unless you make some other connects. But he actually was the one who put me on Middays. We had a show together. He made me his co-host, and he had been in radio for years. He started off in New York, like he was from New York, so he knew everybody. Like he knew all the big people. He knew all the names. Like, so I was thankful enough to have him as a mentor. And a few people, of course, here and there, but those are probably the top two. And like my homie DJ Thorough, that's like my brother. He's a DJ, and like he just taught me the game more on like a humble level. And then when it came to technology, my teacher in the boot camp, the first boot camp, he was a mentor to me and still is. And yeah, and then I have one more. Her name is Faith Hill. So they helped me. And sometimes it don't be as black and white as like, oh, this is my mentor. Sometimes it's just like when you look back, you be like, oh, well, that was my mentor, you know? Like I never called them my mentor really, probably until like now. I just know that they were big names in my journey and they helped me with everything. So yeah.
Thank you. Man, you're so awesome, Janella.
Thank you.
And I mean that in all honesty, because of the fact that you're actually real. You're genuine. And that's exactly what I aim to show people, is the fact that I'm not here to be perfect, even though I do have habits of a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
Yes, I'm just here to show you my story.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to, but it's good that you kind of have that thought now, because that's how I was early in my radio career. I was really trying to like figure out who am I? Like, how do I want to be? Like, I struggle with my name, you know, I struggle with like, okay, it's Miss Pooh too ghetto, you know, but like Pooh has been my name since I was a baby. So it's like, once I realized that, I'm like, that I am Pooh. Like, it ain't like nobody gave me this name. It's not like, you know, or if I'm talking to somebody who may not be Black, for instance, I had for a moment, it was like when I would tell white people my radio name, they'd be like Pooh, because they call like Boo Boo Pooh. Like they didn't understand like Winnie the Pooh, like Pooh Bear. So it was just instances like that where I would feel like a little self-doubt in like who I was, and if I was too much to cross over to, let's just say, pop or other markets that weren't as hip hop. But then when I just started being myself and I started getting more creative and like just literally doing whatever I wanted to do, then people was a lot more receptive to me. Because I didn't really care. I was like, forget it. Like, girl, y'all gonna get this. And when you get older too, you're not gonna care. Like, you're gonna be like, child, look, I am grown. Y'all look,
Amen.
and then you're really gonna be like, social media, y'all tripping off this status. Like, if y'all don't go take care of y'all kids, like, and get off my status.
With that virtual learning.
With that virtual learning. Like, I'm
Say
sure
your kids hit me up. I tutor virtual. I charge though. I charge.
Period. And I will let them know. Like, I'm gonna add you. Like, while you on here at TA.
Yo, T.
Okay. For real.
Straight up.
But yeah, I'm glad I was able to help you.
You definitely helped. You helped me out a lot. And it's because of my perfectionist traits that I always question myself. I be filled with doubt on whether or not I'm doing things the right way. But you just said, just do it. Just take initiative. Just get it out there. And that's
because what the word is rebranding. Like, when you get in your groove and you get it going, then you're gonna be like, okay, this is, now I know what I need to do. Okay, now I'm gonna revamp it and make it right. Like right now, you're just practicing. Like, why would you want to perfect something that people probably not gonna see anyway? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, thank you.
Like, why would you care about how your first podcast is, or if you got all these dope transitions or whatever, if you ain't got no listeners? Like, it don't matter. Just put it out there. And then when somebody actually listens, they might even listen to the first episode and be like, oh, okay, this slap. Like, you know, you don't, until you're like Cardi B or Beyonce who wants to put out a podcast, or Michelle Obama, for instance, she just dropped one. Like, I wouldn't worry about what the world thinks because we don't have the world on our back. Like, just literally post it. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares until you Michelle Obama, you know, or until you Cardi B. And the reason why they are so successful is because they've shared their most personal stories with us. They've told us how things have not been perfect. They've told us and shared with us, and we've grown with them to know that, damn, like Cardi B getting cheated on too. Damn, she was a stripper. Like, damn, like her teeth was crooked. Like, and it's gonna be people that hate, but it does not matter because they still relate, honey. They still relate. Period. Drop it. If you try and post something, post it. Girl, nobody's watching. Do it now. Do it now. You wasting time. Yeah, you wasting time. Because you may end up doing 2-3 episodes and be like, this is stupid. Like, you may not even like it. For real. Like, you might be like, okay, I don't like this, actually. This
but you won't know till you try it.
Right. Like,
it ain't
it's
even
like
try.
a new food.
Just do it. You already thinking it. Get it out. You holding it in, and you're gonna get constipated.
It causes stress, honey. It causes stress.
Let it out.
Don't be perfect. The first thing I say do is whatever you do, create a page for it. So create your little Instagram or your little Facebook or your Twitter for your podcast, if that's what you're starting. Give it a name. Give it pick a color or a couple colors and start posting on it. That's it. Wow. And if you need help, go to Pinterest. Like, I do Pinterest all the time so that you can see the aesthetic that you want to make it. And then you'd be like, oh, okay, well, this, like, you know, this aesthetic is mostly pink or mostly purple. Like, all right, well, let me, you know, and then you post. Now you have all your platforms. Now you have somewhere to post your episode when you want to post it. Put the link in bio and hashtag it. And boom, now you got people that might listen, they might not. It doesn't matter.
But it's out there.
It's out there.
It ain't in your head.
and trust me, nothing has to last forever. Like I said, in my new position, I might not be doing this in the next 5 to 10 years. Who cares though? Like, because I don't want to. Like, so when you do this podcast, just because you started it don't mean that you have to continuously do it for that forever. It may come a point where you be like, all right, you guys, like, I've grown and I want to do X, Y, and Z. But because you've made connections, those people are going to follow you on to the next thing. So people that listen to me in radio, they still be in my DM. They still watch my YouTube videos. They still listen to my podcast. In fact, my podcast has like triple more people listening because they don't listen, because they want to hear me. They want to talk to me, you know?
Mm-hmm. True.
So, yeah, you got this. And if you need a break, take a break. Right now, we ain't dropped the episode in I think like almost a month or 2 because we're on a break. And if y'all don't like it, don't listen no more.
Cancel
it. Like, I'm not here to please everybody, honey. Like, that would be too much stress. Too much. So yeah, just focus on the people that care about you, that think highly of you, that like you, that put energy into you, that put money in your pocket, whatever the case may be. Like, focus on them people because it's so many people who gonna hate. Period.
God.
That part. So yeah, I'm gonna do my email now while I am remembering that.
Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.
Okay.